What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Double R series. Today is a very special episode because I got something in the mail today that I've been searching for a long time, and it's kind of like a unicorn part because you can't really find these too much. Ones that are on eBay, they are expensive. So we did finish the Project R1. This thing is mint. It's all set to go. I have plenty of videos on my channel on this thing if you want to check it out, and the whole restore that we did. So this thing came out amazing. Very happy with that. But we'll get back to the Double R now. I'm going to show you what we got in the mail. So let's start opening it up. Obviously, as you guys can see, this is a real BMW HP4 tachometer cluster, and it's damaged, which is fine because we don't need every part on it. For a while, I was actually just looking for this faceplate, and I would have dealt with it if I couldn't find the blue needle. Now, there is a few of these on eBay. There's very few, maybe like I saw like one, and it was at least like $700-800. So obviously, I wasn't trying to spend that much money on just a faceplate and the needle, but I was lucky. I somehow found someone that had a cluster that has been damaged. You can see it's missing all this part and the back part. These are all broken off, which is, totally fine because the whole point of this thing is just to really get this faceplate. And I do want to put the new blue needle in there on this bike because obviously this is a HP4 replica that I am making. It's basically done. We got the rims done. We did a bunch of other stuff, and it's starting to, really look like it now for the most part. Most people will probably be like, why don't you just buy a real HP4? Well, to be honest with you, the engine's the same. And besides some of the electronic suspension and some of the, dynamic dampening control, the traction control, I don't really mind because the suspension was set up actually for my weight. The guy that I got the bike from was the same weight as me. So the suspension is dialed in and I'm totally fine with it. It feels good. And the majority of the time I ride the bike in slick mode anyway. So I'm not too worried about the traction control option being able to adjust it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start working on it. We're going to get off the 8 windscreen bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 4 on the other side. All right, we got our windscreen off. Now the next thing that we're going to need to do is that there is a clip in here. It is a push clip, so it should just be able to pull out. All right, so we did get this clip out. This is what it looks like. I don't want to drop it, so I'm trying to focus here. Let me see if I can get a... So that's how it looks. You can see that they're... Focus, baby, come on. So there is a part on the side that you can grab that makes it go flat. Okay, there we go. So it goes in just like that, and you can grab it with that. I used something, a plier that was a little bit bent. You can use some needle nose pliers. I actually used, where is it? These. I used these ones because it had a turn on it, and I was able to put it in there. And you got to grab it and be very careful. You do not want to end up dropping this thing. You have to get a new one because it's going to get lost. I did stuff a little bit of a microfiber towel in there. You can see there's the blue microfiber towel. And it's kind of hard to see. It fell down a little bit, but it is in there just in case it did fall down. You can see the blue a little bit. It hopefully would have catched it, and then I could have tried to snake it out. Either if that doesn't work, then you would have to take this whole thing apart. So glad that I got it out and it was good to go. Now to get out the cluster, you just need to wiggle it a little bit, like so. There is a couple prongs in there, so be careful. You do not want to break these off. Okay, and then you will have to disconnect these two connectors. Now, before I do that, I'm gonna take off the positive terminal to the battery just so we can get rid of the power, just for safe measure. Also, if you keep this off of the power for too long, you're gonna have to reset the date and some other things. So what I'm gonna first do is I'm gonna take apart this cluster, see how everything goes, you know, take off the cover. There should be a gasket under here. And then I'm going to start checking this out. For the needle, I'm pretty sure you could just take a very small fork, stick it in between there, and then just pry it out. And this faceplate should just kind of pull out because it's going to cover this whole thing. So I'm going to first take this apart. Actually, I'm going to do it upstairs just so I can kind of get a look at it. And then I will show you guys how it looks. All right, so we're in the kitchen right now. There is, to get this front cover off, there is a couple bolts on here. There is one right here, here, 3, 4, and 5 in those holes. Those are Torx bits and they are a T10. So I'm gonna take those out and then flip it back over. And then I'm going to pry off this cover. All right, we got the 5 bolts out. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're really not tight at all. So when I'm putting these back in, I have to remember that you just make them snug. It's probably like 3 Newton meters or something stupid like that. Something really light when you're tightening them back down. But so now I'm gonna flip this over like so. And I'm going to start taking off this top cover. To get the top cover off, I literally just put my fingernail in between the two and just kind of ran it around, and then I kind of opened it up, and this should just start popping off just like so. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is the first time of me ever doing this, so let's see. Ooh. So this thing, it's just a cover. Is there a gasket in here? There's supposed to be a gasket. Anyway, so as you can see, this is all one big faceplate. And to do that, I'm gonna have to get that needle off. So I'm gonna take a very small, thin fork. And I actually wanna try to get a measurement between here, whether it's a credit card or whatever, just to see how far I have to push it down. But yeah, so this may be able to plug into the stock r harness, but obviously since it's not married to the ECU, the miles would be flashing, and I don't even know if it would work. But obviously my tachometer that is on the bike is made for that, and it's paired to the ECU. So we're just going to replace this faceplate here and the needle. Okay, so the space in between here and the faceplate, you could say, is basically the width or the height of a credit card. I did notice that when I'm taking this off, it's kind of hard to see. There's that little part, so I'm gonna have to first take off the needle and be careful not to, I'm gonna have to move this out of the way a little bit. So this whole thing should probably shift a little bit just so that I can get it out. All right, we got the needle off. I did use 2 basically little butter forks, and I just put it up there and I just slowly lifted it up. I think that you won't have to worry about the credit card because you can see that little pin that goes to the center of there, and that just pushes down against it, and it seems like it does bring it back up. So I'm assuming as long as you push it down lightly, it will get back to the spot where it needs to be. So next I am just going to maneuver this out of here and get this off of there. So I want to actually pay attention to what I'm doing. So let's see. Now this part may need to come out over here. I'm not sure. I hope I didn't break it off the needle. If I did, I'm kind of screwed. So we'll see. I think I could just turn this faceplate and this should come out. I'll let you know in a second. Okay, so we did get the faceplate off. I did have to turn this thing to the right a little bit, and then it was just able to pop out. You can see that there is a certain shape on there, and same with here. So you kind of got to move it a little bit till it gets free, and then it pops right out. So that's all I'm going to do for this cluster. That's it, because really I'm just going to be putting this faceplate and the needle on my tachometer. All right, guys. I didn't film everything because I wanted to do it quick, and I wanted to make sure that I was being, very careful with everything when I was installing it back into the bike, and, obviously putting the faceplate in and the needle. So as you can see, I'll turn the ignition on now, and everything functions perfectly as it should. Time is still good, so I guess it didn't run out of time. I didn't detach the positive terminal from all the wiring. I was going to at first, but I didn't. And what I also did was I kept this on with the bike not running for a bit, just so that it had some power drawing to it. I don't know if that would have made any difference or not, but I did it. I don't seem to have any problems. Everything seems to be functioning properly, just like it should, which is good. Yeah, so now the next thing I'll have to do is get that clip back on this part right here. That is what that slot is for. I would suggest you have someone just push down a little bit on it, just so that you can kind of see the little gap of where it's supposed to go. And obviously it's going to go in that way. That's going to be a little tricky, so I'm going to go do that now. All right, so I got the clip in there. As you can see, I just used these things. I grabbed it by the side, I pushed it down, and then it's literally, you just push it in. And the same thing when you're taking it out, you just literally grab it and then you just pull it out. It's a pretty easy thing, but obviously you need to be careful, because if you break this post, you're gonna have a big problem. You may have to get, I know there's aftermarket covers for these. I don't know if it's just, I think they have the top part for sure, and definitely I think they have the bottom part. But either way, you want to obviously be careful. The three prongs go into the grommets as shown. So this is good. As you can see, our cluster is functioning properly along with the needle. Time is all good. We have no VHS codes or anything like that. So we are good to go. So since that's all done now, I'm going to put the windscreen back on.
Let me back up. Let me back up. Let me back up. Let me back up.
All right, we got our windscreen back installed, and that is good. I love these WRS windscreens. These things are freaking mint. They're great windscreens to have. Highly suggest them. So now we have our rear seat back installed as well. Tachometer looks amazing. This is huge for me to get this part on here. I've been waiting a long time to find something for relatively cheap, and I finally got it. So I'm very happy I got that. We do have this little thing that says HB4 0000. It's kind of like a pre-model, right? That was before they actually started releasing them. Obviously, that's not a real number, and it's just for fun. But it is a fake HB4, so I figured that number 0000 was good for it. And I know I've showed you guys like 3 times already, but to have the blue needle in there and have that faceplate, it really gives it that HB4 look and kind of more of a feel when you're riding the bike. So I'm very happy with that. All right, so we do have some stickers that came in. We got a little kit, and they actually look pretty good. Let me see if I can show you them real quick. Go get this. So it's this and some other ones. So I'll go show you the tank ones and actually put it on the bike now. All right, as you can see, we have our tank decals on, and these things were a good decal to put on there to follow the theme. So let's go bring it outside and we'll do a little cold start. All right, let's go fire her up quick. But before we'll do that, we'll take a look at these beautiful rims. How good those came out. Freaking pumped. This bike is really coming together now, and I'm very happy with it. HID headlights, low beams on just now, obviously. Looking awesome. Alright, so I'll let this thing warm up and then we'll get a couple revs. Alright, we gotta get our rag out of here because we don't need this. So guys, tell me what you think about this thing. How does it look? Is it really looking like an HB4? Obviously, we can do a couple things like get a different decal on there and some other odds and ends, but so far I'm very happy with how this thing is looking. I'm very happy with how it performs. That was never an issue from the start, so we're good there. Eventually, I would like to get a auto blipper on this thing at some point. That's possibly in the future, we'll see. Just double checking to make sure that needle is where it needs to be. That's perfect. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, so leave a comment down below and tell me what you guys think about this bike so far. I think it's looking pretty freaking awesome, and I am super pumped. I'll have to take a ride video on this thing. I'll do that maybe next because we gotta break the new tack in, right? Obviously not, but yeah, I'm very pumped about this thing. All right, last but not least, we took our old faceplate, put it back in here with the needle for safekeeping. This way it will stay mint, and I'll just box this thing up for the most part and put that away for a rainy day. If I ever sell the bike or want to get rid of it, pop that faceplate back in, and I'm pretty sure if I get the casing, I may be able to swap out this whole thing and the odometer might work. But either way, this is where it's staying. It's not going anywhere. All right, so I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. As always, we thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.